going to be difficult to start this meeting with such a distraction. Good morning, everybody. Today is July 23rd, 2024. This is the regular Board of Supervisors meeting for Lake County. We will begin with a moment of silence. I haven't checked in with my colleagues. Is there any moment of silence? So I have two of them that I'm going to provide. One of them I should have probably done last week. I did go to a candlelight vigil on Friday for Jennifer Matheson. Jennifer Matheson was lost too early at the age of 20. She leaves behind her new family, which includes her daughter, Romani, and during the candlelight vigil, her daughter spoke, and that was probably one of the most heartbreaking things to see, and she's probably no older than 4 years old, maybe even 3. Jennifer was always the life of the party, and her laugh was contagious, and her smile lit up the whole room, and Jennifer will be dearly missed. I did have a good relationship with her mother, and it was quite an event to go to on Friday, and good to see the community coming together for the loss of Jennifer. The other one is Janice K. Pankratz, who peacefully passed away at the age of 81. Her greatest joy in life was her family, where she was a spouse, a mother, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother to 8 great-grandchildren. She was known for her gentle spirit and touched the lives of everyone she encountered. The County of Lake had the privilege of knowing Jan very well. Janice Pankratz worked as a permanent employee for the County of Lake from April 95 to June 2008, and then she continued in an extra help assignment up until recently. Over her tenure, she worked in multiple departments, including the Department of Social Services, Auditor Controller's Office, Treasurer Tax Collector's Office, Administration, Integrated Waste Management, and most recently, the Air Quality Department. Jan will be dearly missed and remembered, and if we can have a moment of silence for those two individuals. Supervisor Simon, if you could please lead us in the pledge.
Yes. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And we will get to our pet of the week, but first, we have the approval of any extra items on the agenda. Any extra items from admin or board members?
We have no extra items.
Okay, and I see nothing from our board members. Next is our consent agenda. So I would like to pull item 5.2, and I believe that's for further discussion and clarification.
Actually, 5.2, we're going to continue it to a future date.
Okay, so that will be for a future date. And then 517 for further discussion. Any other items that board members wish to pull? Seeing none, let's open it up for the public. Anyone wish to pull an item from the consent agenda for further discussion? I see no hands in Zoom and no one getting up in the chamber, so I'll bring it back to the board for action. You need 5.12 to be pulled? Oh, that's right. There was an error on that one. 5.12. Thank you for the reminder. Also would like to pull 5.12.
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to move to approve consent agenda items 5.1, 5.3 through 5.11, and then 5.13 through 5.16.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And we will get to those other items at a later time. Let's go ahead and open it up for public input on anything that is not on our agenda today. If it's on the agenda, we will have public comment for each item. You will have 3 minutes. Please come on up if you have any public input.
I don't know who to thank. I was at the Lakeport City Council meeting and I didn't get a chance to be there in time for this. But I just wanted to say thank you for the fireworks display that was over Lakeport, and then there was one the next night. I've never seen anything like it in my life, and in these times when we need to come together in patriotism, it just reminds many of us as children of watching that. I do know there's a concern with safe and sane and illegal, and I do know that they said something about at the new park, people were setting off fireworks. That might be a good place to have a designated places for even safe and sane, because we are in this fire danger. But man, what I saw from a good vantage point, that spectacular display, which has cost so much money, that is what was beautiful, and I think it was very poignant and needed. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I'm sure Supervisor Green can pass on that comment to the City of Lakeport. And seeing no one else getting up, let's go ahead and close public input. And we will now go to the Pet of the Week. And Officer Kopis. Already found a friend?
Hi, I'm Officer Kopis with Lake County Animal Care Control. Today I have brought a 3.5-month-old lab shepherd mix named Emma. She is very much puppy, as you guys all heard. She will do good in any home. She's very playful, very loving, just wanting to get out and play with everybody and everything she sees. She's definitely food motivated, so training would probably be pretty easy for her. If you'd like to see her or any of our other adoptable pets, we're at 4949 Hellbush Drive in Lakeport behind the county jail. And if you have questions or concerns, you guys can always give us a call at 707-263-0278.
And you said that was Emma?
Emma, yeah.
I'm going to have to remember that one.
And she's super sweet, super lovable.
Quite the crowd pleaser.
Oh, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That one fluffy.
Let's go ahead and move on to our item 6.3, 9:05 a.m., presentation of proclamation designating the week of July 21st through 27th, 2024 as Probation Services Week in Lake County. Please come on up. I think we have a large group today. Don't be shy. Come on up, all of you. There you go. Oh, my goodness. Get out. And if you all keep going over to the right, we can fit everybody in.
This is nice. I'm going to read a little smallish one-page proclamation. It's a probation proclamation. I'm thinking conjunction junction for some reason. Proclamation designating this week, the week of July 21 through 27, 2024, as Probation Services Week in Lake County. Whereas probation has a commitment to improve the quality of Lake County by enhancing public safety and offering the hope of a more productive lifestyle for individuals on supervision. And whereas probation offers a safe, cost-effective, and transformative alternative to incarceration, empowering individuals to make positive changes and embark on a journey toward a brighter future and safer communities. And whereas probation officers undergo extensive training, 350 hours in the first 2 years alone, plus at least 40 hours annually thereafter, which includes trauma-informed care, cognitive behavioral therapy, therapeutic and strength-based care, and emotional intelligence.
And whereas probation departments are the key connector in the justice system and our communities, working to maximize the resources available within the courts, local governments, law enforcement, social services, behavioral health systems, schools, crime survivor organizations, and nonprofits. And whereas probation fosters a safer environment for all of those in Lake County to live and prosper by ensuring those reentering our communities after justice involvement have received the support, services, and tools necessary to be successful. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of Supervisors of the County of the Lake that July 21 through 27, 2024 be recognized as Probation Services Week to highlight Lake County Probation's immense contributions to our community, passed and adopted this day. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Green. I'm Wendy Monfrance, the Chief Probation Officer, and this group of people behind me work tirelessly every day, every night to make sure that families, kids, adults in our community are safe and have resources available to make the change in their lives that's needed. We look to build resilience in the community. We have positive outlooks. We teach people to learn from their failures and persevere in the face of differences. And we strive to enable individuals to bounce back. We have some individuals here today, and one of them is James Anderson, and I have a couple certificates to present him with because he's just completed 2 of our Courage to Change classes. So James, if you come up, please.
Thank you. I gotta grab my paper real fast. Sorry, this is my first time doing anything like this, so I'm a little stage fright at times, but I'll get over it. So today, here I stand in front of all of you giving a special thanks to the Lake County Probation Department for the thanks and gratitude that they deserve, especially from my behalf. I am James Salvador Alvarez Anderson. Since I was really young, 13 to be exact, I've been in and out of the probation department for minor events, mainly for wrong decisions which they have given me the chance to correct and become the person I am today and becoming now. This thanks goes out to these specific individuals, of course, and of course the rest of the Department of Probation in general. Claudia Acosta, who has been there for me on and off for a long time since I was a juvenile. Deputy Santana, who has stood by me for 2 years and then some, guiding me and showing me that it is possible to achieve and still be on the right path as long as I tried and wanted to actually be successful in life, especially for one of my criteria that I was dealt in my life. And then now my most recent success that I have been blessed with for achievement in life is Miss Brianna Hudson, who has proven and locked in my full success story for my life and present/current achievements. These 3 individuals and the rest of the Department of Probation in the County of Lake, I owe so much appreciation and gratitude to. For the 180 they gave me in life and my most recent contributes, which include the morals in which I now have for the department, with much respect and gratitude. This department is now an inspiration of my life and my new career, which they are helping me accomplish and I am now currently accomplishing, which include a degree in human services and a bachelor of physics and education for psychology, for where I will now be able to help others in addiction recovery and have a beautiful new chance in life for a successful career and a strong leadership and a chance to finish being a decent person and a proud parent. To the lovely child who can now be proud of her father and want to stand for the same when it comes to her father's success story in life. So here I stand with great honors and special thanks to my heroes, the Department of Probation in the County of Lake. So let's give a special round of applause to this department for all the great achievements in this county, including my success. Thank you so much for the Lake County Probation Department, my new idols. So here we go with great appreciation to everyone in this department.
2-page proc and a 3-page novel. I like it. Supervisors, you want to say nice things about the crowd assembled here?
I just want to add something. I know at the end of your statement, James, you said please give a round of applause to the probation department. Our first round of applause was definitely for the hard work that they do. We see them out there. But I want to say my second round of applause was for you. You are what drives us to keep doing the work that we're doing. And I thank you for sharing your story. And congratulations on your success. And I wish you the best, because those are the stories we love to hear. They're hard. They're real. But they're amazing. And so thank you so much for being here. That was for you. Keep doing you.
I'm not a supervisor, but you did. You just put the microphone down. I debated about whether I wanted to come up here and embarrass you, but I decided I did because I was thinking about not just James that shared his testimony today, but about a lot of youth that Wendy, you and I, and Meredith, and Kevin have worked with over the years who have amazing, incredible success stories. So I think that the impact of your department and what you do is immeasurable on the community. It's a testament to the heart and soul of this department, which is not everybody here is amazing, even though you do steal employees, which is fine. No, we're one big happy family. Of course, we're co-locating, which is an exciting new endeavor. So what I love about Wendy is she's not afraid to take on risks or challenges. She's ruthlessly optimistic, which I truly appreciate. And she's small but mighty, literally. You know, Kevin, he walks a fine line of having like the utmost integrity for the law, of course, while actually being a real human, which is a unique, that's a unique thing to have, especially in government. And so I've personally seen him touch numerous lives for the better of young men and women, in particular that I know are just thriving today. And then Meredith, I've also known and had the pleasure to work with you, and you are just the kindest, gentlest spirit. And so I think that the leadership, and I apologize to people that I missed, but this is just my perspective, having been working in Lake County since 2015 and doing a lot of work with probation. They're always so dear to my heart. So any opportunities that we have to support this department and their expansion and growth and their commitment to this community would be a well-deserved investment. So thank you so much.
EJ, did you?
Yes.
Ready? Supervisor Crandall.
Thank you. And thank you all for your hard work, you know, all that you do, and, you know, good job getting ready to become part of the team as well. You know, I wanted to say that the reality of everything when it comes to this is you all have to do so much. You have some that will comply with you. You have some that you can work with easily, but then you have those that just tell you what you want to hear, and you got to keep going over and over again. And sometimes you feel like you get kind of like jaded. So it's just important that you have your self-care as well, so that you can just cope and know that sometimes people need to hear it 20 times before they decide, and it's always on, you know, on their time, you know, and you do your best to keep them in line and on track, and just appreciate that. So again, thank you.
We do have somebody else here today who wanted to be able to share just a little bit about what they've seen from their perspective for success for, in particular, her child. So, Marion, if you would come up, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I feel blessed to be here this morning. 2 years ago, I didn't have much hope that my son would be successful. He's now 17, he was 15 at the time, and he was an opioid addict, and he was on a course of generational addiction, incarceration, and life had a whole different look than what it does today. I'm proud to say, as of today, my son has graduated from high school a year early. He is working full-time. He's been clean and sober for year and 9 months, I think. It was a long journey, and without probation and what each and every one of you have done, the RAP program, Redwood Community Services, it's changed our lives. And I'm so, so thankful for the programs that are available and the good people that work here through probation. So once again, thank you very much.
And look around. We can take the photo. And as Sam, you're walking up, just last thing, I'm struck. My late mother worked as a juvenile hall counselor down in Fresno County. And between the proclamation and all the stories of support and wraparound services, going back to our shelter in North Lakeport, which used to be the juvenile hall serving this county, generational change has occurred within probation services in California. And based on the stories my mother told me and the stories my mother didn't tell me about justice-involved individuals in Fresno County at the time, it just doubles my pride for what I'm seeing here today. And thank you for embracing that generational change and advancing it. It's clearly having a great impact on Lake County. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for the hard work. What was EJ checking out? Your new digs right there? Nice. Oh, nice.
Always more to carry.
Got the Narcan stuff in there? All right.
All right, that was nice. I remember last year's presentation, and this one was right on par with our expectations from what comes from probation when we have our proclamation. So, love hearing those good stories. Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on to our 9:15 a.m. item, 6.4, public hearing, consideration of ordinance 1658, Article 5, commercial weighing and measuring device registration program to reflect the recent legislative changes that amend Section 12240 of the California Business and Professions Code. And we have our Ag Commissioner, Catherine Vanderwall, with us. Good morning.
Good morning. All my stuff. Good morning, Board. Catherine Vanderwall, Agricultural Commissioner and also Sealer of Weights and Measures. So today I'm here to present for your Board's consideration an amendment to the Lake County Ordinance Article 5, Commercial Weighing and Measuring Device Registration Program. Weights and Measures device registration fees partially cover the costs of a very important behind-the-scenes consumer protection program. With very few exceptions, all weighing and measuring devices, meters and scales, used in commercial transactions are tested on an annual basis by my department. These devices are tested for accuracy to ensure that consumers are getting what they pay for and businesses are operating in a fair and equitable business environment. Under Article 5, Commercial Weighing and Measuring Device Registration Program, Section 3-50 provides the authority for the Agricultural Commissioner, Sealer of Weights and Measures, to charge fees to recover costs associated with inspection, registration, and certification of these commercial weighing and measuring devices. Under Section 3-53, Item 553.2, Annual Fee, specifically lists the device fees as identified in the California Business and Professions Code, Section 12240. On October 8, 2023, The governor has signed Assembly Bill 1304 into law. This bill adjusted device registration fees for commercial weighing and measuring devices and became effective January 1st, 2024. So this new statewide fee structure is the first comprehensive adjustment since 2012 and reflects the true cost of the regulatory program. This new fee structure is not reflected in our current ordinance. So the proposed amendment to this ordinance will remove the invalid excerpt of Business and Professions Code currently found in item 53.2 of Article 5, and instead will reference the Business and Professions Code section 12240, in which fees will be the latest County of Lake Master Fee Schedule adopted by your board in accordance with section 12240 of the California Business and Professions Code. Does your board have any questions?
Any comments or questions regarding this? And I thank you for our email back and forth. More of a formality because we're already there. It's just matching up with what the state code is. So appreciate that conversation. Supervisor Green.
Yeah, just don't have to, but sometimes when you cite the government statutes, it's nice to put the as may be amended in case the state law changes. I don't think it's necessary, and I know attorneys may disagree on the utility of such language, but that would be a suggestion. If we're going to cite to section 12240 of the Business and Professions Code, we would cite to it as may be amended, so that if the state law does update, we don't have to come back and update our code. So, question more than a comment.
Mr. Quintovano?
Your board has the option of amending the draft ordinance to incorporate that language. Typically, when a statute is cited in the ordinance, when that particular statutory citation is amended, it's still in effect for purposes of the ordinance that cites that statute. And the only time, I suppose, in a narrow set of circumstances, a narrow situation where if a statute gets renumbered, that may be useful. So it's a little difficult to kind of foresee what's going to happen. I think section 12240 has been in place for quite some time. It's not a relatively recent statute, but it's certainly up to your board whether or not to amend it to incorporate that language, that phrase.
Thank you for that response. I think that what I understood from County Council is adding that, and if it stays at 12240, there's no change in the outcome of any amendments in the future. And my guess would be that if it does change to a different number, we would have to eventually just bring this so that it makes sure it's not confusing to anybody who's reading our ordinance, who then has to do some research and figure out where the new statute is placed in the California code. So I think leaving it as is fine by my reading of it, and just look and see if there's any further comment or discussion from board members. Seeing none, let's go ahead and open it up for public comment. I see no hands in Zoom, and no one is getting up. We really emptied the room. No one is getting up for public comment in the chamber. So bringing it back to the board for action with or without amendment.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the form of the motion, but I can give it a shot. Move to approve an ordinance amending Article 5 of Chapter 3 of the Lake County Code relating to commercial weighing and measuring device registration program, and bring it back for a second reading at the next available meeting.
So your board may, for the first part of that motion, would be to approve the first reading of that ordinance to be read in title only to streamline the process. And then with that motion, once it's approved, the clerk of the board would read the title.
Second.
Good.
Let me amend my motion to say so moved.
It was a good faith effort. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, it's an ordinance amending Article 5 of Chapter 3 of the Lake County Code relating to commercial weighing and measuring device registration program. Oh, there it goes.
Okay. And then we need a motion for the next date for the second reading.
Yes, it would be a motion to approve the draft ordinance to be advanced to the next Board of Supervisors meeting for consideration and possible adoption. And it would be to a date and time certain.
Does it have to be time certain? Usually we put these in the consent when it's a second reading.
Johanna? August 6th on consent.
Just for the record.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So our next timed item is not until 10, so we're going to take up some of our untimed items. I see we have behavioral health in the back of the room, so let's go ahead and start there. 7.3, consideration of amendment number 3 to the agreement between County of Lake and Community Behavioral Health for specialty mental health services in the amount of $13 million for fiscal years 23-26. And Director Jones, good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Board. There's quite a bit of a story behind this amendment, and I feel that it's probably in the public's best interest and certainly the board to have the full history of what's transpired, because on the face of it, it looks like we just have a ballooning contract maximum. So in the fall of 2023, the spring, sometime in 2023, we went out to bid for psychiatry services. Lake County Behavioral Health, as the mental health plan, is responsible for the provision of specialty mental health services, and one of our biggest elements of that is psychiatry, so medications. And historically, our services have not been reimbursed very high. So per minute, prior to payment reform, CalAIM, I think we were seeing about $3.50 per minute, which is around like $200 to $300 an hour for psychiatry, which seems on the face of it like a lot, but if you calculate in administrative costs for the contractor as well as us to monitor, to bill, all of from soup to nuts to take these services to the community, it's a lot more than that. So through payment reform, the county negotiated new rates with the state of California and was codified with the Centers for Medicaid, which is the feds who do the federal match. So as you're aware, Medicaid is a matching program, county share, state share, federal share, and that makes the soup. So we contracted with Community Behavioral Health, who responded successfully to our request for proposals, and recognizing that we have not really truly ever had sufficient licensed therapists to provide services. We've done our best, but really that's where our biggest gap was. We committed to expanding our network of providers, licensed therapists through Community Behavioral Health, which was a new move for our department to contract out therapy. But again, in recognition of the global workforce shortages, particularly around that very, the highly educated behavioral health professional workforce, it was the most viable option to meet our community's needs. Of course, we invest in workforce as well. We love to grow our own and have our own staff doing services, but it's just simply not enough to meet demand. So our original agreement, we negotiated, I want to say like $265 an hour for a psychiatry visit, which is very low. Payment reform turns our rate, what we get when we bill the state, is about $2,100 an hour. Now that means that cost settlement goes away. So in the past, we would reconcile all of our costs, those that were covered, those that weren't, and we would true up with the state and they would pay us the difference. That goes away. Now they're expecting us counties to bill effectively so that we totally sustain our costs. Moreover, in 2028, although I'm hoping they push it out a bit, the state wants us to go to a fully capitated rate. That means they've done analysis of all of our claims for the past several years and they say, okay, we know generally what it costs per Medi-Cal beneficiary to receive services, and we're going to give you a capitated rate, and you're going to have to make that work. So in the interim between our new rates and this capitation, it's really important for plans to maximize their billing. Otherwise, they're not going to get a good capitated rate. So what does that have to do with the contract before us? It means that the rates go up, right? We have agreed, along with all of our contiguous counties, so that's Sonoma, Mendocino, Napa, that we're going to pass through 65% of our rate from DHCS. regardless of whether or not we bill our own staff or contracted provider staff, we get the same rate, but plans have to be very careful because that's what we have to maintain our entire business off of. All of our administrative operations have to be from that rate as well. So again, 65% leaves us a profit margin of 35%, and profits are baked into payment reform. So behavioral health systems have traditionally been completely underfunded compared to the private sector. You look at any federally qualified health center, Tribal 638 clinics, they get a lot more money on their fee-for-service rates than behavioral health. Payment reform fixed that, which is great. So you're going to see dramatically increased contracts simply because the dollar value of these services is valued higher than it ever has been before, and it's a true representation of that cost and that rate. So we are dramatically expanding services under this amendment with CBH to include as much psychiatry as we need. We are actually having an on-site in-person provider for especially children, which is a long time coming back to it. We had it pre-pandemic for a little while. And then primarily we utilize them for telehealth, so teletherapy, and we reserve our in-person county employees for that in-person people who need to meet in person. So again, this is to meet the demands of our community. And further, the last point I'll make about this agreement is that if you look in the rate section, CBH has agreed to get paid a flat rate for 4 hours per day. So that means on a typical day, we're usually billing 7 hours of services. We do give them a lunch, right? So they bill 7 hours of services, but we're only having to pay them for 4. So that means that the behavioral health plan stands to make a significant amount of patient revenue, which we are required to reinvest in community services and supports, which is really good if you consider the changes about Prop 1 and the potential reduction in certain funding streams that support community programming. So that was a lot, I realize, but it's complex. Unfortunately, behavioral health financing in California is one of the most complex financing systems ever. So happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments or questions regarding this item? So I appreciate the information. I appreciated the email exchange as well regarding this. I'm going to move forward and approve this, but I will say I have some concerns. There's 2 things that you've stated, once today and one last week. One was that you said now we have unlimited billing capabilities coming up. I don't know if it's already active because I spoke to the $33 million contract that we had signed a while ago. And now this, where it's 10 times, almost 10 times the reimbursement rate that we're receiving. I don't want to take away from the services that we're doing, but I can't help in my mind wonder how is that fiscally sustainable at the federal level, and how does that impact the economy? We're so small that and such a high need in those services that I'm not going to get myself involved in a complex conversation, but I do have concerns about the sustainability of how this is working out, especially as we seem to be expanding Medi-Cal services, not seeing a decrease in the need of Medi-Cal services in our communities, and we're not the only ones that are seeing that. So I just wanted to share that concern. There are also, and I'm going to let you speak because I think you were going to speak to what I was going to say. You had something you wanted to say.
There is an error in the math in the recitals that I apologize for, that I wanted to make sure in any motion that may come up is addressed. So the contract maximum is incorrect. Our math didn't math. Is that what you were going to reference, Supervisor?
Yeah, and if I can help you out with that, in the in the 4th whereas in the Amendment 3 recitals, I believe it is correct that it is being increased by $12,400,000, but that will make it for a contract maximum of $15,600,000. And that is one. And then for the compensation, number 3, that should be $15,600,000 as well, since that's the total amount. And then there is one thing that I feel is missing, and that's from Exhibit B, Section 6.2. Where it states fiscal year budget breakdown. In the past amendments, it stated that fiscal year 23-24 in the last amendment was at $3.2 million. That is staying at $3.2 million. Fiscal year 24-25 should state the $12,400,000, and then fiscal year 25-26 should continue to be TBD, as there's nothing that has been set for that current year. That section 6.2 from Exhibit B is missing from Amendment 3. I just want to add it in there so we know where that increase amount goes to and what fiscal year.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely. Any comments or questions regarding those changes? Supervisor Green?
Not the changes. Those sound fine. Thank you for navigating that. Just for my own education, I don't need a whole budget thing. I just, in the middle of that, you were talking about the 65% that you and the regional counties were doing, and then kind of as a core, and then the billable services on top of that kind of constituted, I think you used the term profit, and that just kind of raised my eyebrows a little bit. I know what you meant. I mean, we're not the county is not a for-profit agency, you know, and behavioral health is not a for-profit agency, but you do have to run profit and loss statements, and you do have to understand whether you're ahead of the curve or behind the curve on your spending. Can you just clarify your use of that word profit, or maybe I misunderstood that part of the explanation?
No, happy to. It's actually termed patient revenue. So anything the plan makes in excess from fee-for-service after costs is patient revenue.
Right.
And there is a requirement that plans must reinvest and obviously be good stewards of that patient revenue into programs and services.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And I think where it's new is historically Medi-Cal has never paid for the full cost.
That's
so
correct.
Therefore, never had to have that conversation. Mr. Guintavano, I just want to check in real quick with those amendments. Do you concur that those are okay, or is there a clarification or change that needs to be made?
Those amendments are fine. Your board may approve, upon motion, approve it as amended with those amendments referenced.
Okay, thank you very much. And if there's nothing further from the board, let's open it up for public comment. I see no hands in the Zoom room, no one getting up in the chamber. I'll bring it back to the board for action.
Move to approve amendment number 3 to the agreement between the County of Lake and Community Behavioral Health as amended for specialty health services in the amount of $15,600,000 for fiscal years 2023 through 2026, and authorize the chair to sign.
As amended?
Yeah.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lots of changes happening. We will move on. We'll go backwards to item 7.2, consideration of appointment of District 5.
Oh. She's going to come in.
Okay. So let me know when you're ready for that one. We're going to move on to item 7.4, consideration of the following advisory board appointment: Maternal, Child, and Adolescent Health and Western Region Town Hall. Are there any comments or questions regarding the applications or the applicants? I see none, and we're going to talk about both of them at this moment in time, and so opening up the public comment for any of the committees and the applicants. I see no hands in the Zoom room and no one getting up, and I believe we need to do one motion for each one. Bring it back to the board.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll start with motioning to appoint Rachel Dillman Parsons as the Maternal, Child, and Adolescent Health to that board. Is it advisory board?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
And then I motion to appoint Lisa Marie Benavides to the Western Region Town Hall as an Upper Lake member.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 7.5, consideration of appointments to local area plan advisory committees for Kelseyville, Lakeport, and Upper Lake Nice. And this is a continuation from July 16th, 2024, and we have with us Director Turner to help walk us through this.
Good morning, Maria Turner, Community Development Director. Johanna is passing out a number of applications we received after the posting of the agenda for today. Please note that we accidentally put Lisa Marie Benavides in this packet too, even though her application was just approved for a different advisory board. Last week, the board approved 5 out of the 8 local area plan advisory committees, or LAPACs. Continuing a few, the Kelseyville one, Lakeport, and Upper Lake Nice area planning areas to today so that staff could confer regarding the matter of appointing more than 2 municipal advisory council members to a LAPAC. I want to express appreciation to County Council because the things that I think are so easy and straightforward, he actually thinks about longer and did come up with a number of potential issues. And so it is the recommendation today then that no more than 2 municipal advisory council members be appointed to any one given LAPAC. That's to ensure the free-flowing input on an equal basis of all members without the sort of the sense or the possibility that a municipal advisory council opinion might weigh heavier than our members of the public. So I thank County Council for their deliberation on that matter. And so before you...
The board appreciates us getting an answer on that too, so we can figure out what we need to do. So thank you very much.
You have before you Kelseyville, Lakeport, and Upper Lake Nice applications. Incidentally, we have received another application for Middletown, but that will be on a future agenda since it wasn't listed as a potential appointment on today's agenda.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and start with the first one on the list, Kelseyville. And either Supervisor Green or Supervisor Pyska. Actually, I do have a quick question just for process purposes. Do we have a timeline of when we received these? I know that we tried to set a deadline and just kind of, and we had a conversation about deadlines last time. Were these received in a timely fashion before Thursday's close of business, or were they received after the fact?
The packet that you have separate from the listed ones were received after the posting of the agenda.
Okay. I just wanted to get...
Though I do want to note that we did post the agenda a day earlier than normal, so it would have only given people about a day from last Tuesday's board meeting to have submitted their applications. But as is typical with all advisory board applications, is we hold on to the ones that come after the posting of the agenda and then present them to the board at the board meeting. At least that's how I used to do it. I don't know if we still do it that way. It's been a while, huh?
And
yeah, since however Johanna does it. Yeah. That's not my job anymore.
So is that Chair
Yeah.
Sabatier? So if they've come in after, is it like, are we thinking that we don't appoint, or?
I just wanted to at least get the information to have that discussion. That's up to us, I think, on whether or not. And I'm looking right now. It looks like everybody was on time except for the first one that's in the packet. Because if it says the 18th and we said by Thursday, it doesn't have a time, but I'm going to take that as all of them were on time except for the first one. But I'm going to leave it up to, I just wanted, because we had a discussion, to at least understand what the timeline was, open it up for discussion. But I'm going to do the same thing on a personal level. It's up to the district supervisors for which those districts are impacted by those LAPACs that I'm going to look for direction from.
I'm fine accepting all of them.
Okay. And again, let's open up for Kelseyville and have the discussion on the remaining, the seats to fill, because I don't believe we took any action last time.
I think I have half of the puzzle, but I don't have all the puzzle, and I'll defer to Supervisor Pyska on those other pieces. In addition to the seat categories in the Kelseyville LAPAC for tribal environment, Big Valley Advisory Council, business owner, and agriculture, and the 4 at-larges. A geographical representation is important in this particular LAPAC because it straddles 2 supervisorial districts. So in terms of land toward territory, actually, I think a slight edge goes to District 4 for the lands encompassed by Kelseyville LAPAC, but the population center clearly falls within the town of Kelseyville, and so the population center is more District 5. Of the applications for Kelseyville LAPAC, I have identified 3 District 4 residents, Margot Canberra, Richard White, Mark Lips. Both of them would be eligible for at-large appointment, but additionally, if we want to look at seat categories, Ms. Canberra could be an environmental seat, Mr. White could be a business owner, and Mr. Lips could be either agriculture or business owner, as well as an at-large. So I definitely think for just geographic representation, I'd like to see those 3 appointments get made. I didn't immediately identify a tribal representative that could come from District 4 or District 5. But, I'm open. I just want to hear what Supervisor Pyska has wants to suggest as far as the appointees from her district and what categories they might slide into.
I have a list of recommendations. I just want to let you know that we did appoint Rick White as the alternate to the BVAC a couple of weeks ago. And then Margot is on the GPAC. So I think that we have enough applicants that we don't need to use one of the GPAC members. And then just trying to pull up Rick's. Well, we can't have Rick because he's on the BVAC. So,
well, we can have up to 2 BVACs, right? You have other BVACs coming on?
yeah, so
Okay.
I'll give you my list. Angel Acosta is in District 4, and he is on the BVAC. And I have him to fill an at-large seat, but he is also the only representative from the Latino community that applied. So I think he needs to be there. For the BVAC seat, we had 2 other applicants, Joy Merrilees and Brian Hansen, and I asked them both to weigh in. Brian is the chair of the BVAC, so I think I will go with him. Will be the BVAC. Large. So we have Angel and Brian, one of them representing BVAC, one of them representing at large. And then for the other 3 at larges, Elizabeth Weiss, who's very active in the PTO, was looking for a lot of different ages and diversity and backgrounds, what people do and age. Sabrina Andrus is, I've recategorized her as at-large because she is more identifying with at-large than less of a business owner now because she is working with Motherwise. And then Arnaud Hubert, who just sent in his application, brings a completely different perspective, which I think is really important. So those would be the BVAC and the 4 at-larges. Elizabeth Lincoln, and we did have this conversation last week about the tribal seat. I did ask the Big Valley Council if they had anyone when we were there to submit. Elizabeth is tribal. She's not affiliated with a local tribe, but she does work with the Big Valley for economic development. So I think she could fill the tribal seat if you all agree with that. And then Mark Borghesani and Mark Lips. how many, and then we need to keep the environmental seat open, which I do have some other ideas, but I want to keep that open because we do have Margot already on the GPAC. Is that 8? Yep. Okay.
I'm sorry, who did you have in for tribal? Tribal? Weiss?
Elizabeth Lincoln.
Oh, Lincoln. And did you have business owner and ag in there?
Oh, well, Mark and Mark are both business owners. Oh, the other one we have was Summer. I didn't have Summer on my list. Because Summer is, working with the Wine Grape Commission. Oh, you know, because I had Joy as a dual seat with Ag and BVAC, but now we've gone with Brian.
Mm-hmm.
How many at-larges do we have? 4?
4 at large.
Okay, well then, we could just have Mark Lips, rather than Arnaud, since his is late, be at-large/ag. Or be at-large rather than business, and Summer be ag.
That takes you to 5 at large. If you have Angel at large, Elizabeth Weiss, Sabrina Andrus, Arnaud.
Well, we take Arnaud off.
Take Arnaud off. Okay, great, thanks.
Well, I'd like to keep our note in there. Mark, Mr. Lips could move up to a business owner.
Well, I think we should have Mark Borghesani be the business owner.
Well, and again, I'm kind of struggling. There's a geographic representation here, so it's really stacking up on the 5 side.
I worked really hard over the last couple of months getting people to apply, and this is a fraction of the people that I reached out to. We don't know where Summer lives, do we? I did ask that yesterday because it's right back there.
Sorry, I'm getting that for you right now. One moment.
Angel and Mark Lips are both District 4. And other than Margot, those are the only District 4 applicants.
Can you ask Carolyn or
And did you have our, Hubert in there still?
No,
Who did you have for agriculture then?
Summer.
I'm pretty sure she is in Kelseyville, but yeah, let's just double check.
So if I'm reading this right, I see Lincoln, Hanson, Borghesani, Brown,
Thank you.
Weiss, Andrus, and Acosta, and Lips.
Is that what's on your list, Maria? Maria?
It is coming.
No, he just read off.
Sorry.
It's a question, it's not a statement, so let me see if I have this right. If we were to proceed with, I think what you said, I have Lincoln for tribal, environment will not be appointed, Hanson for BVAC, Borghesani for business owner, Brown for agriculture, Margot comes off, Mr. White comes off, Mr. Lips is an at-large, Mr. Costa is an at-large, and Ms. Weiss is an at-large,
And Sabrina.
and Ms. Andrus is an at-large. So we have all 4 at-larges and 4 of the 5 other categories.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Is that what we have? That's the list I gave.
No,
Is she
but
District 4 or District 5?
Checking right now. I've got her street address, yeah.
But we also have room to have the environmental seat come from District 4. I did reach out to someone who's just outside the planning area. But there's,
Well, it also looks like Borgasani's 4. I missed that on the first.
I think he put that down wrong.
You put it down wrong. I
I
thought
think
so.
so. I think he lives in District 5.
so I'm going to ask for a 5-minute break while we go ahead and take a look at that map and make sure that we come back here with, please have the discussions you need so that we can come back with just a proposal of what it is that it's going to be.
I think we're set. We just want to know exactly where Summer lives.
Just want to give Johanna
Yeah.
time to be able to do that. So let's reconvene at 10:05.
Okay. She lives in 5.
All right, welcome back. Do I ask Director Turner for who is being proposed, or do I come back to the board members?
Just as a recap, where we
Please.
were when we went for break, was the following members would be considered at large: Angel Acosta, Elizabeth Weiss, Sabrina Andrus, and Mark Lips. Representing the Burns Valley Advisory Committee, no, Big Valley Advisory Committee, BVAC, Brian Hansen. Elizabeth Lincoln would be the tribal representative, Mark Borghesani, the business owner representative, and Summer Brown, the agriculture representative, leaving the environment seat vacant.
I'm
Okay.
good with that.
Let's go ahead and open that one up for public comment for those appointments. I see no hands in Zoom, no one getting up in the chamber, bringing it back to the board for action.
I move that we approve the list presented by Director Turner.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is Lakeport Area Plan. We have 4 applicants. I don't know that there was more in here.
There were no late applications received for Lakeport.
Thank you for helping me out. And so Supervisor Green.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the list is what it is. This is LAPAC sits fully within District 4, so geographic representation isn't a concern. Filling these various seat categories is. I want to thank County Council again for researching the Brown Act issue, although I do have 3 members of the Scotts Valley Community Advisory Council who have applied. I intend to nominate only 2 of them to avoid any Brown Act concerns as have been stated. And so the nominees I'll be proposing would be Mr. Greg Scott under the seat category of Scotts Valley Community Advisory Council, and then 2 at-larges, Jared Hendricks and Danny Wind. And I also spoke with Ms. Sieber-Davis last night, and she understands kind of the Brown Act issues, and I've thanked her for her application, and she's willing to step aside.
Okay. Any comments or questions from board members? Seeing none, open it up for public comment. And seeing none, bringing it back to the board for action.
Chair, I move to appoint Greg Scott as the Scotts Valley Community Advisory Council representative on the Lakeport LAPAC, and to also appoint Jared Hendricks and Danny Wind to at-large positions.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I have a question. How many members do you want appointed before you can start having these meetings?
Since this isn't a Brown Act reliant or any sort of formal board or commission, it's actually a working group style, we can get started with less than a quorum. It's not required. However, the more input, of course, is always the better. So it'd be awesome if interested members of the public within the Lakeport planning area would send in their applications. And if it's amenable to the board, right up until the day of the meeting would be great. I would be happy to take these applications back to the board at a future meeting to continue building out that LAPAC.
And you want to meet the beginning of August, is that?
Well, we are starting our second session of the community workshops in the beginning of August. And so I will send out the notification of appointment letter to our appointed LAPAC members, probably sometime early this week, which will also include a flyer for those workshops so that they can sort of attend and get a feel for the community before we start launching into our meetings later in August and through September.
Okay.
And possibly October. But again, for all the interested or half-interested people who are listening, we will only have as many LAPAC meetings as we need to achieve consensus on a number of issues per area plan. So I'm thinking probably a minimum of 2 meetings. It will be done at the convenience of the LAPAC. I will be available anytime, any day, to help them achieve consensus. These will be meetings that will be publicly noticed to encourage the maximum amount of public input.
Thank you for that. Supervisor Green?
Yeah, it's a parenthetical comment, but among the municipal advisory councils. Some of them have terms, so one reason I chose to nominate Mr. Scott to the Scotts Valley Community Advisory Council is his term will extend in the next year, so he'll be there for the full duration of the LAPAC process, hopefully, whereas we would have had some other people terming out at the end of the year, so their status would have been a little less clear. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to Upper Lake Nice Area Plan. I believe there was a couple applications in the packet. Director Turner, would you like to provide that information?
There were a few that came in after the posting of the agenda that are located in the packet that you received this morning. Of course, excluding Ms. Benavides. That was an accident, sorry. But I think that after Mr. Hubert's application, the rest of them were all for Upper Lake Nice planning area. And so I would defer to Supervisor Crandall for his input.
And just real quick, I'm going to read out the names just because I wanted to make it public for those that didn't get this information since we were just provided this to us. We have Rebecca Campbell from District 3. I don't know if Debbie Clark is the same as Deb Clark.
Deb Clark. Mm-hmm.
So already in there. And Tanya Noble, and that's it. Just wanted to make sure and read it out since that was not part of the packet.
Thank you.
Yes, Supervisor Crandall, or
Yeah.
Vice Chair Crandall.
Yes, it's so yeah, those three came in. It's we were hoping, I was hoping to get as many as possible to get in and have a full group. So I'm ready to appoint.
Let's do it.
Okay. So for at-large, I'll appoint, well, I hope to appoint Tammy Alice Kay from Upper Lake, Betsy Kahn from Upper Lake.
Is she on the GPAC?
Yeah. Tanya Noble from Upper Lake, Rebecca Campbell from Nice, and Deb Clark from Nice.
That's your 5 at large.
At large, yeah.
Okay.
Business owner Diane Plant from Upper Lake. Worth Thomas Acevis, Nice. Environmental Connor McVeigh of Upper Lake. And then tribal Arena Quiddiquit from Nice. And I looked to try and have as many as possible for each group. Of course, Upper Lake has a wider area and had a lot more applicants in that area, so I was trying to get as many Nice, at least 4 Nice, to try to have that representation, because I don't think before there was, I don't know if there was before, I can't say that, but what I do know is I wanted to try to be as equitable as possible. Upper Lake has Blue Lake, Saratoga Springs, and all that, Elk Mountain, you know, all these different areas, so I wanted to make sure there was somewhat of a even group, yeah.
Okay. And I know that it was just mentioned, I don't know that I have any issues with somebody who's on the GPAC, who's also represented on the LAPAC, as long as it's similar to like the Brown Act for Worth, as long as there's not a quorum of the GPAC that's represented in this. I don't see an issue at all with having one of your members on both.
And I asked that, and there didn't seem to be that big of an issue. And I also, I mean, with regard to Betsy Kahn, I mean, she's talked about area plans so much, you know, in general plans, and so I feel like out of everybody, she needs to be there, for she's a wealth of knowledge, and I wouldn't think otherwise unless I was told not to by the powers that be. But for me, if there's a possibility to add her, I think it's important. Yeah.
Wealth of knowledge is being kind, yes. All right, thank you so much. Any questions on that list, and does that fill out all 9?
Yes.
Okay. And so since it was already read and there's no changes to it, I think it's clear. Let's open it up for the public. Any comments on the appointments to the Upper Lake Nice LAPAC? I see no hands in Zoom and no one getting up in the chambers. Bringing it back to the board for action.
And so I move to approve the list that was read off by Director Turner for the Upper Lake Nice LAPAC.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, just for clarification, not read by Director Turner.
Oh, it was earlier.
I didn't get to read it.
By you.
Oh.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
No worries. Just for the purposes of minutes, I didn't want them to be try to look for something that didn't
Can we
happen.
read it real quick?
No, you read it. It was clear.
Sorry.
No worries. So that finishes that one, and obviously there's still some further appointments that will need to be done in the near future. Please go out there, find those appointments so that we can bring them back and get those committees filled. I think we've actually done a really good job for having 72 positions to fill. I'd say we're 90% there, so at least it feels like it.
Just like every part of the Lake County 2050 project, this is all very ambitious, so I greatly appreciate the support of the supervisors as well as our GPAC members for getting out there, getting the word out, and I really appreciate all the people who have been willing to apply for a LAPAC position, especially since when they ask, well, where are we meeting? I don't know. Well, how long is it going to take? I'm not sure. And they jumped in anyway, so that's really remarkable. We're going to have some good work done here. I'm excited. Thank you.
Looking forward to it. Vice Chair Crandall?
Oh, no, I'm not going to, she said it.
Perfect.
I was going to say it too. Thank you.
All right, let's bring it back to item 7.2. I think we're ready for that. Okay. Consideration. We good?
Well, don't we have to do the 10 a.m. item?
Oh, we do have a 10 a.m. Let's go ahead and take on the 10 a.m. Apologize for not going back to our timed items. 10 a.m., consideration of a contract with the Resiliency Initiative for the Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan annexes, not to exceed $165,000 in cooperation with the City of Clear Lake and the City of Lakeport. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Board. Leah Sautelay, Emergency Services Manager with the Lake County Sheriff's Office. I'm here today, as you read the title. I don't know if you want me to read more than this, but we're here to present to you a contract from the Resiliency Initiative that will bring together our hazard mitigation plans from the county and both cities into one multi-jurisdictional plan.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments?
It's just really exciting.
Okay, we have one excited person. Let's go ahead and open it up for public comment. I see no hands in Zoom and no one getting up in the chambers. Again, appreciate the multi-jurisdictional process versus what was done in the past. I think this is only going to benefit everybody to be working all together on ensuring that we understand our hazards and understand how it is that we're going to mitigate those things. So anyways, ready for action.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve a contract with the Resiliency Initiative for the Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan annexes not to exceed $165,000 in cooperation with the City of Clear Lake and the City of Lakeport. And authorize the chair to sign.
Nice.
Second.
Is there a public comment?
Yes, we did open it up for public comment, and we have been trained well to listen to that click. So we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That was easy. Good job. Thank you very much. All right, now we're going to jump back to item 7.2, consideration of appointment of District 5 Planning Commissioner, Supervisor Paiska.
So I had a vacancy that I needed to fill, and so Sharon Zoller has agreed to be the planning commissioner. I did ask Sharon to come. We did have conversations with county council, as Sharon is on the Ag Advisory Committee and on the GPAC. And after thorough review, there are no conflicts, but I did want to be transparent about these other roles that she fills. So I hope you agree that she would be an amazing planning commissioner for District 5.
All right. Would the candidate like to come and say any words?
First of all, thank you for accommodating me. I had a little irrigation explosion this morning. I appreciate being put forward for this position, and I would appreciate your support in filling it. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
All right. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from board members? We have none. Let's go ahead and open it up.
That's, you got a pen up over here.
Oh, I didn't see the pen.
Just want to share my delight at see your application and your appointment today. I think you're going to do a great job on the Planning Commission, and it's important work that they do. It's not well attended often, and when it is attended, sometimes it gets bumpy, but I think you're going to do great in this role, and I'm very happy to see you move forward.
Thank you.
They usually get more attendance than we do. Thank you very much for that comment. Let's open it up for public comment. I see nothing from the chamber and nothing in the Zoom room. Bringing it back to the board for action.
I move that we appoint Sharon Zoller as District 5 Planning Commissioner.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, and thank you so much for applying.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you very much.
So we finished all of our untimed items except for our weekly calendars, and we have one more timed item. And let's go ahead and start up on some of our pulled items. 5.2 is going to a different week, so that will come back later. Let's go ahead and resolve 512. Approve fiscal year 2024-25 renewal of Veterans Subvention Certificate of Compliance and Medi-Cal Cost Avoidance Program Certificate of Compliance, and authorize the board chair to sign. And I believe the only issue and why we needed to take this up is due to the first attachment. It says, I certify that, and that should say Lake County has appointed a county veterans, not having the name of the individual. But that was the only change that I was aware of. Johanna, just checking in with you since you reminded me to pull that. Was that the only change we needed to identify?
And Rainey's on.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't realize Rainey was on. Rainey, did you have anything else you wanted to add on this item?
Nope, that was it.
All right, thank you so much. I got a click. That was an off click. Let's go ahead and, is there any further comments from board members? All right, let's open it up for public comment. I see no one in the Zoom room with their hands up and no one moving in the chamber, bringing it back to the board for action.
I move that we approve fiscal year 2024-2025 renewal of Veterans Subvention Certificate of Compliance and Medi-Cal Cost Avoidance Program Certificate of Compliance, and authorize the board chair to sign.
Second.
We have a motion and a
Would that be with the amendment, Mr. Chair?
As amended.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Wondering if we have somebody from Water Resources. So maybe now's not the right time to take up that item. So let's go ahead and do our calendars. Vice Chair, you ready? Let's do it.
All right, so this week, after the board meeting, we'll be able to go to Sacramento at a decent time and prepare for RCRC in the morning. We have a regular board meeting tomorrow from 8 to usually whenever the agenda ends for RCRC, Golden State Finance, or Golden State Connect Authority. Thursday, I don't know what I just did. Let's see. Okay, there it is. So Thursday, looking at the LCRA, I wanted to check in with you, Supervisor Pyska, as there is a EPA Superfund site over in Clear Lake Oaks that I would like to be at. It's at the same time as LCRA. So Carter Jessup will be over there. And so I want to make sure I'm over there as well. So making sure I do that. And then I think in the morning I'm supposed to meet with Granicus. I still have to have that meeting with Granicus, so I'm going to see if they're still up to doing that. I'd have it on my tentative calendar. And then Friday I have a leadership meeting with RCRC. Myself and a couple of policy advocates are going to meet with one of the, I think it is the assembly member, and I think that's in the district, the Mendocino side. Something like that. I think we're meeting with someone like that. So see how that goes, or if that's even still going to happen, but I have it listed. And then Saturday, Friday evening, in the town of Upper Lake, there's going to be a candlelight vigil for Jose Fernandez the 3rd, known as June. I gave the moment of silence last week. So I think that's going to be in the evening, like 5 or 6. It'll start then. They're congregating in the town of Upper Lake on Main Street, over by the grocery store, Highway Grocery or Upper Lake Grocery now. Saturday, graveside funeral service will be held at this Upper Lake Cemetery starting at 10 a.m. July 27th, and then a celebration of life will follow at June and Emily's property at 9878 Elliott Street in Upper Lake, and that's for anyone that doesn't know. I'm sure a lot of people know, and they will be there in numbers to honor June. Monday, meeting with CAO, and then I think we're meeting next week. Yeah, so a meeting next week.
Supervisor Pyska?
Yes, we are going to meet next week. So I have some things to prepare for that. My week is a little bit in flux. Tonight, there's a meeting at the Mountain Lions Club at Little Red Schoolhouse, a Resilience Center meeting, the Red Cross, and free dinner if anyone wants that. It's at 6 o'clock. Tomorrow, it looks like I'm going to delete that. So my morning is open. I have a CSAC AENR leadership meeting, and then I have the NCO board meeting all afternoon. Thursday morning, I have my insurance working group with CSAC, and then a meeting with director with DSS. And then in the afternoon, right after that, I will go to the rec agency meeting. And then Thursday evening at 6:30, the Risk Reduction Authority is hosting another town hall on Zoom. And this one is going to, we're going to have a presenter who's researched the effects of wildfire and smoke on our community, and so she's going to share her research, so I encourage everyone to tune into that or watch the recording on the Risk Reduction Authority's YouTube channel. Friday is the Opioid Abatement Settlement Fund, but I think I'm going to have to miss that. I do want to try and get out to at least part of the Thule Boat Festival. Maybe it'll be Friday afternoon, maybe it'll be Saturday morning. I'm not exactly sure yet. And then Monday, I have my meeting with CAO Parker, and I have another policy meeting with CSAC AENR, and then I'm back on Tuesday.
Thank you. Supervisor Green?
Thank you. It's on my calendar. I don't know if we have an agenda yet, but First Five Commission tomorrow. Friday, I do think I'm going to try to make the COAD Extreme Heat Tabletop in Kelseyville. That just sounds interesting. Monday meeting with CAO Parker, and that's about it. Pretty light week for me.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Simon?
Finish up the board meeting today. I'll be out of town on Wednesday, returning on Thursday. Got a meeting with Caltrans in the morning on Thursday. I do have the State Board of Fire Services. I'm going to see if I can make that meeting. I can't make it to Sacramento, so see if I can attend by Zoom. And then Friday, I have in the morning CAO Parker. We have our scheduled meeting going to have this week. And then, I'll definitely be stopping by the Thule Boat Festival this weekend. I know we got some youth participating through our program on the tribal side, so it'll be a great event. And then obviously the 29th, don't have anything back here for the 30th, it sounds like, for our meeting on Tuesday. So, and then it was already announced about the Risk Reduction Authority, so.
And I see on my calendar it says canceled for the First Five Lake, and on the First Five Lake website it does say August 28th at 2 p.m. So not sure if that was moved or if that's a different meeting, but just at least wanted to let you know about that. I tomorrow am meeting with our community health needs assessment team. They finished all of their, I forget what they're called, but basically their interviews. And so I don't know if they're going to be giving us a debriefing on the interviews or providing some data, but it's basically the next steps in the new 2025 CHNA. Every 3 years, they have to update that information to see what our health metrics are and what our top needs are for becoming a healthier community. We were a little bit behind with our last CHNA. I guess we can probably blame COVID for it, but it looks like actions started about earlier this year, maybe late 2023. But this one will be able to really work for 3 full years with the new information and data that comes out of the surveys and the interviews that are currently happening. Meeting with PEG to continue working on fine-tuning our system. There has been a upgrade. In a sense. We did buy a Starlink internet access that seems to be working well as an alternative to the internet that is provided through some of the venues that we go to at the town halls. Some town halls offer great internet access, and not all town halls are equal. And so having the Starlink asset really helps us to be able to ensure that we can do the work that we want to do. After that, I do have a meeting that I like to go to for our fire protection district just to keep up on what's happening there. And then there's a housing meeting happening over at the city of Clear Lake. We got the re-housing, I forget the name of the exact program that we just talked about from RCRC.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
But that will be happening in the city of Clear Lake. And checking in to see if there will be other meetings around the lake, because I know that was something that was discussed here at the board. Thursday, starting off the day with Judge's Breakfast, I have here a Hope Rising Governing Board meeting, and then meeting with some constituents to discuss homelessness issues. On Friday, I will be attending the opioid abatement settlement. And then also later on that afternoon, meeting with Special Districts Director Robin Bore to discuss District 2 stuff. Hopefully, I'll be making it to the concert in the park on Saturday, where we have Aquanet that will be playing there on Saturday night, so that should be fun. And then on Monday, so far, all I have is a meeting with our CAO, and on Tuesday, expecting that special meeting to occur. That's all that I have on my calendar, so let's go ahead and shut that down. And we do have water resources in the room, so let's go ahead and take up item 5.17, sitting as the Board of Directors, Lake County Watershed Protection District. 1, approve of the agreement for caretaker services at the Highland Springs Recreation Area Park in Lake County, California. 2, approve the lease agreement and authorize the Water Resources Director to sign both agreements. And we have Angela DePalma-Dow from Water Resources.
Good morning, Board. Angela DePalma-Dow, Water Resources, Watershed Protection District. Could I please have the reasoning for the item being pulled? I came in late to the meeting this morning and didn't hear that.
No worries. I should have said that automatically.
Thank you.
So as I went through, I think it was Exhibit A. What did I do? I closed the wrong item, where it has the scope of services. And in the scope of services, I see basically trying to ensure that people are behaving on the property, ensuring that people are not there when they shouldn't be there, when it's closed, not having fire pits, campfires, a lot of maintaining of stuff. But what one of my things that as I read through it, and maybe I'm complicating things, but to me, Highland Springs is a remote, more isolated area. And one of my thoughts was, are we doing any kind of training for CPR, first aid? Narcan was brought up when I discussed this with Director Upadhyay, and it's just something I wanted to bring up as a conversation, just because I worry about what can happen out there. There's been some comments that we've received. I don't believe anything has happened out there, but ensuring that there's some help while we call 911 and wait. I'd hate for, I don't know if that increases the liability and creates a new problem, but it's just a discussion I wanted to bring up. And so I don't know whose pen went up first, Supervisor Pyska, Supervisor Green. please.
Go ahead.
You guys are looking for who goes first, so.
All right. Thank you for those comments. Definitely the caretaker position is important and open to all ideas on how that should proceed. The only thing I wanted to comment right now is consistency between the two agreements, both of which have a termination clause. One has a 15-day termination, other has 30 days, and I would suggest that 30 days across both agreements would be acceptable. And I can't think of any compelling reason to leave the inconsistency in there. So that would be a question for staff. Is there any difference in the termination period stated in both agreements? And that's on the caretaker agreement, the termination clause is number 4. On the residential lease agreement, it's clause 12.
Supervisor Pyska.
I'm just responding to your comments. I think while that skill set is probably desirable, it's not, I don't think it should be part of the responsibility. I don't think we're having this individual be a first responder or a lifeguard or any of those things. So I'm fine with the way it is as is.
Okay. And a part of it, upon reading, it does say, you know, prohibit night camping, prohibit the use of starting fires, prohibit the operation of gasoline. So in a sense, we are asking them to not be a first responder, but to be somebody of authority. And caretaker is not necessarily a person of authority. So I don't know how we provide that authority without providing that authority. Obviously, we want them to use the resources that are available and call 911. But how do you prohibit somebody and be protected under our insurance and our liabilities if they're not? I guess I have some concerns on. Granted, I might be trying to add to it, but I also feel like what's there. How do they do that? Without having the proper training or the proper authority to do so. So I guess I'm kind of checking in with County Council and seeing what's the best step to move forward. I want this to happen. There has been a lack of a caretaker in the area. Obviously, we've all received some complaints, and I think that it is a necessary addition to what's not there at this moment in time to bring it back. But since we're getting to review this, wanted to ask those questions.
Yes, so that would be the starting point as contemplated under Exhibit A would be if the caretaker, and staff can certainly speak more to this in detail, that if the caretaker notices any of the events outlined in that exhibit, that it would be more of a role of reporting that incident by calling 911 as was stated. Just a couple of notes. There is some form of an insurance coverage that is required of the caretaker in the caretaker services agreement. And if I recall correctly, the county also reviewed this agreement, particularly our office on the risk management side, as far as our insurance coverage as it relates to this agreement. But certainly staff can speak more to may be able to speak more to the responsibilities of the day-to-day responsibilities of the caretaker pursuant to this agreement.
Yeah, thank you, Lloyd. Thank you, Board. I will say that this agreement and the lease agreement were written by Jordan in our department, and she has been the Highland Springs manager for a while, and so she wrote this with having that management experience and firsthand, since not having a caretaker is dealing with issues that arise out of Highland Springs. And the department discussed it, and we really don't feel like it's the aim to make those requests a requirement of employment. They're not a requirement for current county staff. And then that would bring that caretaker basically to the level of first responder, which might require a different budget scope for that position, which we currently do not have. So that would be another discussion. And the goal is to get a caretaker out there right away. If the caretaker feels inclined and wants to pursue those trainings, just like all of our staff, we can discuss that and look for accommodations. But we don't feel that it's should be made a requirement of the contract at this time. Of course, we rely on risk management and legal to make sure that falls in line with a lot of other county contracts that we have.
Okay. Any further comments on this? Supervisor Green?
No, I appreciate both comments. There's a need for speed. We are getting complaints, and however limited the function of the caretaker may be, it's important to get that person in place because there are benefits from even that limited interaction with the public and the limited responsibilities outlined in these agreements. That said, longer term, I fully agree. We need to do more with Highland Springs, and I'm very sad Ms. Beaton will not be with us much longer, and I think what really need for land management purposes is some ongoing discussion with public services, or just how do we manage that land and those facilities, and even consider expanding those facilities. But those are going to be longer range discussions, and we may spin up support contracts to address some of those issues you're talking about. But we clearly need to get a body in that house and get those functions going, get that gate locked timely, and just do the things that the community expects of us out there. And but yeah, lots of room and lots of room for growth and potential about enhanced services. But I'll be supporting this today. Did you have any comment about the consistency on the termination clauses?
Yeah, I believe the lease one, because it's a property, if someone's leasing, renting, that is a 30-day, so I think that's set in California law. So, but I think it's fine for us to make the termination be the same one. I think the worry is that if somebody doesn't work out and there's an issue, that we want to be able to have that quick, being able to boot quickly. But I will discuss this with Jordan, but if legal is okay with it, then we can go ahead and make that. And if that's a condition of the board approving today, we'll go ahead and do that.
And your board may have the same termination clause between both agreements or have differing ones. Either way, it's up to your board's discretion.
And what it sounds like is the potential for termination from either party of the caretaker itself is 15 days, but they could remain in the property for 15 days more, which at that point you can't replace the caretaker, because the concept of the caretaker is this exchange of goods and services, right? So I think either way it makes no difference whether it's 15 and 30 or 30 and 30, because they're going to remain in that that building until those 30 days are over. So, okay. Let's go ahead and open it up for public comment. I see no hands in the Zoom room, nobody left in the chamber, and bringing it back to the board for action. And thank you for the conversation.
Thank you, board.
We are sitting as the Watershed Protection District, and in that role, I'll move to approve the agreement for caretaker services at the Highland Springs Recreation Area Park in Lake County, and the lease agreement, and authorize the Water Resources Director, or this director, to authorize the Water Resources Director to sign the agreements.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, and no changes were made. And that completes everything that we can do until 11:30, I believe. Let's go ahead and go into closed session, and we will continue our open session at 11:30. Not sure if we will get through all of the closed session, but I'll read them all out. 8.1, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, Cordova v. County of Lake et al. 8.2, public employee evaluation, health services director. 8.3, public employee discipline dismissal release. And with that, we will go into closed session, and again, we will be back in open session at 11:30.